I'm good with that, you're good. I'm like, you got a scroll of names now.
So we will reconvene from executive session. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. So if we can start out with roll call, please. Director Eto, if you'd start us.
Hiroshi Eto, Director, District 5.
Claire Wilson, Director, District 2.
Jeffrey McAnally, Director, District 1.
Liz Drake, Director, District 3.
Tammy Campbell, Superintendent.
Now if you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept the meeting agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the meeting agenda of August 23, 2016 as submitted.
A motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I now entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the required approvals agenda of August 23rd as submitted.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? So I'll just note it used to be called the consent agenda. Moving forward now in this school year, it'll be called the approvals agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, Dr. Campbell will have introduction of new administrative staff.
I'd like to invite our Chief Communications Officer, Cassie Swinson, up to the podium, and she will be introducing some new administrators who will be joining our team. I will tell you, we are excited. We're getting people from all over the state who are wanting to come to Federal Way to work and be a part of the direction that we're headed. Cassie Swinson.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Good evening, Board President McAnally, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. It is my pleasure to introduce new principal and administrative leadership to the team at Federal Way Public Schools in the 2016-17 school year. Some of our administrators have chosen Federal Way Public Schools to offer their experiences and talents and leadership to ensure each of our scholars has a voice, a dream, and a bright future. I am pleased to introduce Sean Cook, the new assistant principal of Sherwood Forest Elementary. Cook was the curriculum assessment and instruction manager for Seattle Public Schools and completed his administrative internship at Alki Elementary School in the same district. During his internship, he engaged in professional learning communities and co-developed building-wide multi-tiered systems of support to support students. In previous experiences, he was an interventionist at Sunrise Elementary in the Kent School District and an elementary teacher for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th grades. Cook received a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education from Western Washington University and a Master's in Educational Leadership and Principal Certification from the University of Washington Danforth program. Please join me in congratulating Sean Cook.
Good evening, Board President McAnally, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Thank you for the warm welcome and for inviting me this evening to speak. I am genuinely excited to be joining a district with a strong and clear vision that's articulated by our strategic plan and that's focused on student scholars and equity. I'm also very excited and looking forward to joining the Sherwood Forest school community. It is a tremendous community, and working to serve our student scholars and our teachers. Thank you.
I am pleased to introduce Travis Geving, the new assistant principal of Star Lake Elementary. Geving served last year as an administrative intern and instructional coach at Cedar Heights Middle School in the Kent School District. In previous school leadership experiences, he was a building, professional learning, community math leader, member of the Microsoft Math Partnership of Best Practices in Mathematics Instruction, led a group in the study of the Common Core state standards, learning progressions, led a book study on the building on teaching with poverty on the mind, and has been a math teacher and a math curricular leader. He received a bachelor's in accounting from Western Washington University, a master's in education from City University, and principal certification from the University of Washington. Please join me in congratulating Travis Geving.
Good evening, Board President McAnalloway, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I enthusiastically and eagerly accept the challenge of being an effective instructional leader this year at Star Lake Elementary in support of your united vision. As a member of the Federal community, I am vested in the success of the school system so that all children discover their voice, work hard to achieve their dreams, and visualize their bright future. Thank you.
I am pleased to introduce Pam Pogson, the new assistant principal of Twin Lakes Elementary. Pogson served last year as administrative intern and principal designee for Pine Tree Elementary in the Kent School District. Previously, she was an instructional coach and classroom teacher in Kent, a WA Kids trainer for the Puget Sound ESD, and a registered nurse. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Seattle University, a K-8 teaching certificate from Western Washington University, a Master's of Education from Lesley University, and Principal Administrative Certification from City University of Seattle. Please join me in congratulating Pam Pogson.
Good evening, Board President McAnalloway, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am honored to be working in the Federal Way School District. I wholeheartedly believe in the core values of the district. I will work tirelessly with our scholars, our families, our community members, and our staff to be sure that we meet the goals of the strategic plan. I look forward to the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
I am pleased to introduce Joe Rush, the new assistant principal of Decatur High School. Rush completed his administrative internship at Auburn Mountain View High School in Auburn School District. During his internship, Joe participated on the leadership team, focused on school-wide interventions, coordinated Building Waiver Day professional development, acted as a TPEP trainer, was a district equity team member, and a 7th grade language arts department chair. Rush received a bachelor's in theater from Western Washington University, a master's in art education from Pacific Lutheran University, and principal certification from Seattle Pacific University. Please join me in congratulating Joe Rush.
Good evening, Board President McAnalloway, board members, Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell, and everybody else here. I really am grateful for the opportunity to participate in what Federal Way Public Schools has got going on. Its forethought in the strategic plan for this district is truly admirable and sets up success for our youngest here. That little babe is going to really benefit from what Federal Way Public Schools is doing. And I'm a proud Decatur Gator. We had our Gator Days today, and it's exciting. Administrative team and staff and students come, and the energy in Federal Way Public Schools is truly great. Thank you.
I am pleased to introduce Katrina Hunt, the new assistant principal at Todd Beamer High School. Hunt was most recently school transformation facilitator, also known as a data coach, at Aki Kurosi Middle School in Seattle Public Schools. As part of her role, she assisted with early warning indicator data tools and led schools' positive behavioral interventions and support teams. As part of her administrative internship, she served on the leadership team at Aki Kurosi and has participated in standards-based grading conferences, roadmap project convening as a presenter, ruler training, and various restorative practices conferences. Hunt completed a Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology from the University of Washington, a Master's in Business Administration from the University of Phoenix, a Master's in Education from City University, and a Principal and Program Certification from the University of Washington Danforth Educational Leadership Program. Please join me in congratulating Katrina Hunt.
Good evening, Board President McAnalloway, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell. I am honored to join the Federal Way Public School District's team, and I'm excited about sharing my knowledge and talents with the scholars and families in this beautiful community. I'm looking forward to growing as a leader in this district, in a district that values the whole child, their educational attainment, and their future success. That is one of the things that brought me to this district, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you very much.
I am pleased to introduce Tara Lee, the new assistant principal at Todd Beamer High School. Lee was an administrative intern at Decatur High School and Camelot, Adelaide, and Twin Lakes Elementary Schools last year. Her experiences included collaborating with leadership teams, working with the 9th and 10th grade success teams, collaborating with teachers around elementary math labs, and facilitating professional learning community team meetings. She has also served the district as an English teacher, EduPoint trainer, beginning teacher mentor, and instructional coach. Lee received a bachelor's in English and a master's in teaching from Seattle Pacific University and completed an endorsement preparation program in educational leadership through Western Governors University. Please join me in congratulating Tara Lee.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President McAnalloway, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. In my new role at Todd Beamer, I am excited to grow as a leader and as a learner. And I look forward to the exciting work of supporting students, our student scholars, as they make steady progress towards graduation, preparing them to choose and embrace their own paths beyond high school. Thank you.
I am pleased to introduce Alex Sheridan, General Counsel for Federal Way Public Schools. She recently spent 7 years with the Benton County Office of Public Defense in Kennewick, Washington, and was attorney at law for Benton County Office of Public Defense for a year. She was hired as an entry-level staff attorney and progressed to second in command in the office. In addition to managing a full caseload, she oversaw the contract attorneys who represented the bulk of the clients of the office and was integral in implementing policies and procedures. Additionally, she served as primary mentor for incoming attorneys and was responsible for the majority of professional development offered to the staff and contract attorneys. She received a bachelor's degree from Central Washington University and earned her Juris Doctorate from Florida Coastal School of Law. Ms. Alex Sheridan received accolades from Benton County as Employee of the Month for client-centered advocacy and commitment to helping the team succeed. Please join me in congratulating Alex Sheridan.
Good evening, Board President McAnally, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Campbell. Thank you so much for this opportunity to serve the district in supporting Dr. Campbell and the leadership team and cabinet in achieving our strategic plan to support the whole child and our scholars as they move beyond school and into their bright futures. It is my pleasure to be able to serve you, and I am very excited to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, next we'll move on to good news announcements.
I'll start. This summer, in partnership with local organizations, the Federal Way Police Department held the first annual Federal Way Youth Safety Academy. The City of Federal Way engaged with local students about their concerns, needs, or wants regarding their neighborhoods. The week-long summer classes taught by Federal Way police officers and South King Fire and Rescue firefighters centered on safety and police-youth relationships. Will the following students who participated please come forward as I read your names? From Lakota Middle School, Carla Barajas. From Federal Way High School, Yaelin Barajas. Alonzo Aguilar. Juan Daniel Rodriguez. Sandra Hernandez. Maria Gonzalez. Johnny Martinez. Irvin Kales. Zenaida Cruz. Esmeralda Pena Sanchez. and Jesus Barajas. We would also like to recognize the following community leaders who were a part of the program who are here today. Chief Andy Wong, Federal Way Police Department. Lindsay Sperry, Federal Way Police Department. Jeff Bellinghausen, South King Fire and Rescue. Doug Baxter, CHI Franciscan Health. Anna Murphy, Federal Way PD Explorers. And Amy Powell, Jimmy Mac's Roadhouse. Thank you to these partners and community leaders who support our scholars and enhance the safety of our community. Congratulations and thank you.
Today, we would like to recognize and thank the Rotary Club of Federal Way for the generous donation of $10,000 to Federal Way Public Schools. We would like to recognize the following Rotarians for their support. Hopefully they're here. Lane Bond and Matthew Jarvis. Do come on up. And any other Rotarians? Yes, and Christopher Stone, thank you. The Rotary presented their donation to Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell at a meeting held on July the 28th, 2016, in support of the district-wide STEM Summer Learning Academies. This was the first year these academies were offered district-wide to our student scholars. Over 600 third, fourth, and fifth graders participated in this STEM learning opportunity across 8 district elementary schools. A similar program was offered for up to 90 students transitioning from 8th to 9th grade. For scholars attending the camp, a typical day involved time spent reading about a specific science subject and then discussing it with other scholars in Socratic seminars before moving into a variety of science stations to apply their knowledge directly. Thank you to community-based organizations like Rotary Club of Federal Way who support our schools and programs like STEM, Summer Learning Academies, to better prepare scholars for college and career. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is our legislative liaison update. Director Drake.
Well, I'd like to share, first of all, with you that a team from our esteemed Federal Way School District will be attending the WASDA Legislative Assembly, September 23rd and 24th. Director, President McAnally, Superintendent Tammy Campbell, and myself will be attending. And it gives us a marvelous opportunity to bring our voice to the priorities that WASDA will be putting together for this coming 16-17 legislative priority year. Already, as I mentioned in one of our previous school board meetings, we actually put forward a standing legislative proposal for the levy cliff, which was adopted, and we will have an opportunity to see what else is being brought forward for this coming year. Now, we as a district put our priorities together. We are really focusing on compensation, because without being able to be competitive, without being able to draw quality teachers, quality administrators to our district, our scholars suffer. And there is talk of there being a statewide possibility of compensation being the same across the state. More information about that to follow. I won't get ahead of anything, because who knows what's going to happen. But certainly, we are really focusing on compensation, facilities, and how we are going to manage to make sure that every one of our scholars has an appropriate placement within a classroom. We are going to really need to be working on our facilities over these next few months and years to make sure that we are growing in an appropriate way for our scholars. And then the levy cliff is still with us. And if the legislation do not extend the present state of affairs, it means that we are going to have a lot of problems come 2017. So we'll be keeping our eye on that also. I think I am so pleased to be part of a board that really cares about the big issues that make a big difference to our scholars. I'm very pleased to be part of this. So that's it.
Thank you, Director Ray. So next, board members, is our proposed calendar for 2016-17, which is in your packet. We discussed this at the retreat, and there have been a few small changes made based on what we discussed at the retreat. So we can look at that, and I would entertain a motion to accept the calendar at this time.
I move, excuse me, that the Board of Education approve the 2016-17 board meeting and work study schedule as submitted.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the board self-assessment, which we also went through initially at our board retreat that happened the 12th and 13th of this month. And those changes have been incorporated in here. So at this point, I would also entertain a motion to accept the 2016-17 board self-assessment tool.
I so move.
A motion, do I hear a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
I had one question around, I'm formatting kind of a stickler, and if we're putting this on the website, which I believe we are, so folks can see it, what I'm worried about is we have a column on the right that says rating that's empty, and the rating actually is showing up over on the left-hand side that says approaching proficient. So we either need to move it to the ratings so that people know that's what our collective board rating is, or we need to take off the column. Otherwise, it is confusing.
So I did the revision, and I think what I should have done was taken out the old rating from last year and made it clean with
Yeah.
all the revisions. So we can do that.
Okay,
can be
that was
easy
it,
fix.
just to make it clear for people that are trying to understand what we're doing,
Yep,
since it
it
is a
was just
new
an oversight.
process. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next item on the agenda, as board president, I have
the ability to establish committees for the coming year. So these, we're trying to set up a new process, and so there are 3 committees that I'm proposing to the board tonight. So the first is a Facilities Planning Committee, and that actually is a Superintendent Committee, that there would be board representation sitting on that just as observers, as it is a Superintendent's Committee, and that would be Liz Drake and myself. Secondly would be the committee for the City Council and Federal Way School Board. We've begun to have quarterly meetings to begin open dialogue and discuss how we partner together to take care of things on both sides of the aisle. And so those 2 individuals will be Carol Gregory and Liz Drake. And the third committee is to evaluate student representation to sit on the board. And the 2 individuals I've put forward for committee members would be Director Eto and Director Wilson. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept those 3 committees as presented. They'll serve a term from September 1st to August 31st, 2017.
I move that the Board of Education approve the 2016-2017 Superintendent and Board Committees as submitted.
A motion, do I hear a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
I just had one wonder, and that is, traditionally in the committee, there's also been, are there quarterly meetings, are they monthly meetings? And there's nothing on here that talks about the kind of, like the facilities planning, the term is a year, but are there meetings, quarterly meetings set up? And those are, that just gives people a little bit more detail and a little bit more information, and I guess, and we don't have to put it on there, I'm just noting that we used to have a little bit more information on here, and so,
Well,
anyway.
it's the first time we've actually done this. I mean, I know we had one, but it kind of got lost. So I know that part of it was that what we talked about in the retreat is we would have at least quarterly updates. There is actually established meetings set for the City Council and the board that are quarterly, so those would be quarterly updates. At this point,
Facilities will be a monthly meeting. Those dates have not been established because we still have to
And I appreciate that, but that's the kind of detail I'd appreciate on here. And we don't have to have the dates, but if it's a monthly meeting, people need to know this is a committee that meets monthly. If it's a quarterly meeting, people need to understand it's a 4 times a year. Your outcomes and the results of those committees may differ based on the intensity and what comes out of that. I just think it's helpful for information for other board members as well as for our public that might be seeing this. Just, if we know what it is, I think it's important that we put
can
it
add
on
that
there.
information.
sure, we can add it. We can do that. There won't be a problem. And these will be posted on the website, so we'll make sure we get that added once we figure it out to make sure that you're all aware. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries. And our next item on the agenda would be public comment. Do we have any public comments? So normally there are blue sheets on the back table. If you'd like to make a comment during the board meeting, you'd fill out one of those sheets, and we have none this evening. So we will move to superintendent comments. Dr. Campbell?
So the month of July and August has been filled with us really getting ready for the new school year. And I would just say I personally had an opportunity to drop in on our 4+1 days, and it's really focused on Goal 2 and the training that we've set aside for that, specifically around equity, cultural competence, PBIS, restorative justice. Goal 2 is a district goal, and all of our schools will be focused on that. We've had almost 1,000 teachers and staff attending that training so far. So that has been pretty, really impressive to see our staff showing up, knowing that they need to learn more and grow in this area so that we can be the best we can be for our scholars. It's been a month and a half of retreats. We started out with our retreat with the FWEA leadership, just outlining what it was that we shared in common in terms of what do we want to do, working together, and we found a lot of areas where we are talking about similar things. We then had a retreat with our leadership team, the superintendent's leadership team, becoming real clear about how we're going to actually implement the strategic plan and how we're going to support schools in accomplishing what we call our milestones as they reach and focus on each of those targets related to the goals. We had an all-admin retreat, again, focusing on the strategic plan, making sure we're being very consistent and methodical in our training and working with staff. We also had a principals retreat and a board retreat. Again, if you were to attend all of those meetings as I did, you would hear red threads and common ideas around Goal 2, but also what high-performing districts do to close gaps, because here's what we know. When we look at our data, we have areas that we have to focus on to improve if we're going to be the kind of district that folks will say, yes, I want to go to Federal Way. There are things that we have that are strengths, but there are definitely areas we have to improve upon. And so we're talking about that, and we believe our strategic plan is our roadmap in helping us to accomplish those goals. Some of the things that I'm excited about that the community will hear about, I'm going to be sharing my strategic plan at Rotary. I will be doing it for the Chamber. I will be presenting it to the City Council and in multiple venues. And some of the things that we're doing that are offshoots of this, one is our mentoring program. And today I sat in a group with Dr. Melanie Stry and Dr. Pfeiffer and David Stone, and we came up with the name Mentor and Me. That's going to be the name of our mentoring program, and this was Melanie Stry's brilliant idea. Bottom line, our goal is to have over 100 mentors, specifically in Sahali and Todd Beamer. We're targeting those schools. And the mentors will be committing to once a week in the schools, along with a mentoring component that happens after school that really focuses on what we call cocooning, where you work with specific groups of students around their culture and what it means to achieve. We call it creating the counter narrative. We're going to lean in our schools, and our mentoring program is going to be one of those things that you're going to hear a lot about. In fact, on the first day of school, our goal is to have 100 mentors out in front of these schools, talking to kids, handing out the flyers so we can get more mentors to sign up. So if you want to really make a difference and you want to mentor, this might be an opportunity. One unique thing about this program, we will have training for our mentors. So we won't start the actual mentoring itself until folks have participated in a training where we talk about what does it sound like to actually mentor, what is the language that you'd be using to encourage young people, and then we'll have ongoing training throughout the year. So that's one exciting thing. We're also this year going to start something called a STEM Expo. Basically, we're going to be reaching out to companies in the area, and we're going to invite scholars, K-12, to come with their parents, go to booths, and find out what it takes to participate in a career in that particular area. We're going to target both what we call those high-end jobs like engineering, the tech stuff, but we're also going to be looking at the trades, plumbers, the wide range. And we want to start to get our kids interested in the trades, interested in those careers. And this STEM Expo will be an annual event that we'll be engaging our scholars in. So Martin Boonstra and our team in TFL are working on that, and there will be more to come. Lastly, we're going to be having some convenings, district-wide convenings. We're going to have a convening around Goal 1, which is early learning, and we're going to be recruiting and reaching out to all the preschool providers in the area, talking to them and bringing them into a common space with our kindergarten teachers to talk about what does it mean for our kids to come to school ready at K. And we're going to be giving them some materials that they can use to help to be sure that articulation and the instruction that's happening in preschool is actually getting our scholars ready for kindergarten. We'll be doing this as a way to really get Goal 1 firmly entrenched with our community. The first convening, though, that we'll have will be around Goal 2. And we are already pulling together a group of people who have been either in our faith-based organizations, those groups who've supported us with social-emotional supports, and we're convening on September the 22nd for Goal 2, and our goal there is to get all of the help we can get around attendance and what the message can be that our churches can get out around why attendance matters. We're going to be dogged in getting more mentors on the 22nd. We're going to hand out flyers and sign-ups for people to sign up to be mentors during that time. We'll also be talking about our community service and getting organizations who we want to be a part of helping our scholars achieve their 24 credit community service requirement. As you recall, that's another component of our strategic plan. So there's a lot happening. We want to be sure that the community understands that building the strategic plan in some ways wasn't easy, but it was the easier part of the work. Implementing the plan, following the plan, and ensuring that our metrics move, That's really what the strategic planning process is going to be about. And I'm excited to say our schools now have school improvement plans that are linked to the strategic plan. And that process, I'll be continuing to give you updates on all throughout the year. So more to come. We're committed to making Federal Way Public Schools the best district, not only in the state, but in the country.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Campbell. And next is school board comments. Dr. Drake, would you like to start us this evening?
If you're sensing energy and excitement, it really is coming through to all of us. I've been engaged over these last few weeks in an absolutely huge transformational journey. All the meetings that Dr. Campbell mentioned, plus a parent engagement meeting, where I met and spoke with parents, community members, students, teachers, administrators from other districts, parents from other districts. And our focus, our strategic plan, but very specifically, equity, race, and racism. A very powerful revelation for me is the importance that we look at race and racism as it impacts our scholars, and acknowledge the fact that when we look at our data, not just test results, but a plethora of other areas, behavior, incidents, expulsions, all of them point to the fact that we do have, in Federal Way, institutionalized racism. And it's something that is sometimes very difficult to acknowledge or talk about, but it's something that with our fellow board members, we have taken on. And with our parents, we are really facing it and looking at what it is that we as a community can do to change what we're doing now to help all our students, all our scholars of color, be successful. What are next steps? We have been working with the writer of this amazing book that we're all reading and thoroughly throwing ourselves into, by Glenn Singleton. That's important. Human interaction where we talk about these concerns, issues, critical. One quote that I would like to share with you from this book. Passion is the cornerstone of racial equity leadership. Emboldened with passion, enabled with practice, strengthened by persistence. That's what we are going to be about, so that our goal too, our whole child, is a child thriving, confident, responsible. And the equity piece to this, each scholar knows, understands, and embraces his, her own, and others' cultural backgrounds, and learning needs in order to advocate for self and others. That's where we're going. And I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to embark on day one.
Thank you. Director Wilson?
Well, excuse me, first I want to welcome the new administrators that were introduced tonight. It's exciting to have new people who are excited to be here and see that we've got a vision and that we've got a plan and are going to help us carry that out. And so that's exciting. And I also want to shout out to our community members and the organizations and the service clubs that are supporting us in our community, because without you, we can't do it. We certainly can't do it alone. So really, so appreciate the support that you continue to give and have over the years. I wanted to say, too, the board retreat is always work, and that I think it's a personal journey. It's you can read everything, and it's about what we want to do for kids, but more importantly, it's our own story and our own journey and what it means for us. And that each of us, even on the board, have a journey. Some of us are in the same place, some of us are at very different places. But it's around learning the impact that racial equity has and has had, and instructional racism and institutional racism. And also intent versus impact, because I think the idea is that we can't just say we're sorry because we didn't know how it landed. We need to understand how something's going to land so it never does get to that place. And you only do that by kind of going on your own journey. And that I think you always expect this equilibrium when you're doing this work, and if you don't, then you're not working hard enough. And I think as a board we experience that. And I also think as a board, you and as a group that's working on this, and as individuals, it's never done. And it's not about cultural competence, it's about really taking a journey that never ends. And that I think that we will always have unfinished business as individuals and as a team, and that the important part is being able to continue to have those conversations and to learn, because it's all based on relationships. And when we don't know people, I think we make a lot of presumptions and a lot of assumptions. And so I appreciate the conversation and know we will continue that as a board to work together. I also will be at LEDGE Advocacy Conference in Spokane. It's connected to a WASDA directors meeting, so as a board director, I'll be there. But WASDA pays for the trip, which is probably why the email didn't include my name. So the important part is, I think as a board we can all participate, but Liz, as our LEDGE liaison, is the one who actually holds the cards up to give our position of a red or a green or a yellow, and stands up and speaks as our representative on the board. So I look forward to that. I had the opportunity the 30th of July and the 15th of August to join Mia Gregerson and Shawneen Wheeler in some community conversations. The first one was at Poverty Bay on a Saturday morning, really just talking to community members about what their concerns and what their needs are. So homeless was a big issue and concern for homeless families and homeless children. The one in Kent was a evening meeting at the library, and there was quite a large turnout, and the focus on the Kent meeting was South King County and the support of media and communications, and how our very diverse communities within the South County region sometimes don't have that opportunity to have the communication channels open to them. And I was able to send Dr. Campbell names and contact information of 7 panel members whose job and whose role and whose passion it was to do exactly that, be they radio, be they digital media, or whatever. So I think that may help us in our communication, whether we're talking about attendance or a strategic plan or whatever. The other question I had is, I'm getting a lot, I'm a Facebook kind of person and a Twitter person too, and families are at a place right now where they're a little worried about school supplies and about school uniforms. And so my question and my wonder is, how are we notifying families if they are able to access school supplies, or who and how do families let someone know they need to access school supplies? And the school websites don't necessarily have that. So it's just something we may want to think about, how it is our families know, because I know we're doing a lot of work on supplies and equitable distribution, but families don't necessarily know that.
Just really quickly, we are working so that next year our goal is that we would have school supplies ordered basically through the district, and we would take donations for them, but really eliminating that and working with community-based partners. So there's more to come on that, because we've talked to parents who would say when they have 2 or 3 kids, we're talking hundreds of dollars. So we've got a plan.
So for this school year, if families that might be listening, or families that might want to know if they think they're may need some support and resources for
They
school
should just
supplies.
tell their schools.
So principal or anyone at their school, they could let know, family liaison.
Absolutely.
Or, alrighty,
Their
okay,
schools will take care of them.
okay, thank you. I want to make sure that they know that and so that they're not worried, because they get worried about that kind of thing. I think that's it. Thank
Director Eto?
Oh, I do have one more thing. I'm sorry, it's important. It's connected to the WASDA. I just want to make sure board directors know that September 29th is the fall regional meeting for Area Director Area 2, which is the King County School Board directors, and we will be meeting at, and being hosted by Auburn School District this year for the first time, and more information to come, but it's September 29th is the date. So I just want to make sure it's on the calendar for us.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Director Eto?
I recently saw a couple of articles in the Federal Way Mirror that got me to thinking about how things happen over a long term. And long-range constant improvement is something that's going to happen with the strategic plan. But I recollect about 25 years ago thereabouts, the Federal Way High School valedictorian had posted a article in the Mirror, and at that time she had mentioned how unprepared she felt entering the University of Washington and the curriculum there, the rigor of the curriculum there. And this time around, when I looked at these articles, there were folks identified Federal Way High School 2013 at Whitworth University, 3.75 GPA on the honor roll. Alicia Morales, Hyun Oh, graduated cum laude from business management. Nan Wang, Dean's List, 3.7 GPA, Baylor University. And at the UW, there was like 129 people on the Dean's List, 3.5 GPA or better. So over the long run, all those that have been on this team for the long haul, there's been improvement. And so it's just great to see that we're going to be moving even further with the new strategic plan. But it is something that takes time. Hopefully it won't take 25 years, but certainly there's going to be a basis for improvement that's much better than it was when we first got here back when. So I appreciate the efforts of the team and how they're accepting of the challenge, because this is a big challenge to introduce new ways of thinking into the classroom so that every child has an opportunity to succeed. So I'm really happy to see what's happening, and I'm really happy after the retreat to see how engaged the board members are and positively supportive of all the efforts of Dr. Campbell. So I'm looking forward to good things. Thank you.
Thank you. So as you can tell, we're all beginning to discuss racism. And what we know is that you have to bring it home, and it has to be local. And part of that local piece starts with the board. So that board conversation and talking about institutional racism is something we're all discussing. I can tell you that our retreat for 2 days, as Director Wilson kind of alluded to, there was tension at times. It's pushing all of us. It's pushing all of us in our practice. And we must lead. The board must lead this action, must do it to see change. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen anywhere else. Dr. Campbell's leading it from an operational perspective, but we must also discuss it and identify that we have racism in this school district, and it must change. And until we see the achievement gap gone, it's still there, and we must all own that. So I think you can see from the board that we are in it up to our necks, because we are committed to it. We must change it for all, and it's important that we do that. The other thing I attended was the Rotary Luncheon last week, which talked about Black Lives Matter, right? And so we hear a lot of things about all lives matter or blue lives matter, but ultimately right now what is most important is to really talk about Black Lives Matter. And it does. It has to make a difference. And as a Caucasian white male, I have to lead that effort, and I will lead it in this school district as long as I serve on this board, because it must be a change that we make. I don't care what student walks through the door their first day of school. They must feel accepted and able to come and learn. And that is what as a board, we must do to help ensure that, along with the partnership with Dr. Campbell, to make that happen. And so before I get any more emotional about it, I'll stop there. But thank all of you for sharing as we begin to do this work collectively together. All right, next is our action from executive session. So there's 2 items. Our first item is our ProfTech collective bargaining agreement. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept that agreement.
I move that the Board of Education approve the collective bargaining agreement between the Professional Technical Association and Federal Way Public Schools, number 210, effective September 1, 2016 through August 31, 2019, as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is the authorization to acquire property for a new school, potential school. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to initiate letters of interest and subsequent purchase and sale agreements for the acquisition of real estate property.
A motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discuss our ends. As a board, we have looked at our ends to make sure that we have alignment to our strategic plan. And so as you can see, it has actually been brought up there and posted so all of you can see it. Part of what we felt was it was really important that it ties back and aligns to a strategic plan in some ways. And so we've added the piece at the top of Bright Future. This is how we get to the bright future for all students. We also made some small changes to the overarching. So it now says, in an environment of equity, regardless of race, socioeconomics, language, cultural backgrounds, and other exceptionalities, each scholar will graduate with the academic knowledge of 21st century skills, ready to succeed as a responsible global citizen. And then we took our bullet points out of each one of them. So ends 1 is tied to each scholar. Ends 2 is a dream. And ends 3 is the voice, whole child. And so there were small changes that made, again, just alignment to it, some word tweaks that we made as a board to make sure that it aligns to the strategic plan and that it's reflective in our ends. And so I'll just read each one of them. So sub in 1 now says, each scholar, graduation and advancement. Each scholar will graduate with the prerequisite skills and confidence to access college, career, and other post-secondary experiences. Sub-ins 2 is a dream, academic achievement. Each scholar at every grade level will perform at or above the state or district standards in all disciplines. And in 3, a voice, whole child, personal responsibility, and citizenship. Each scholar will be empowered to take the responsibility for his or her academic success and exhibit positive ethical behaviors, treating others with dignity and respect. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept the revised ends.
Before we do that, can I just add one comment? I think it's important to note that each of these sub-ends have metrics that I, as a CEO of the organization, am accountable for to show growth over time. So often there's this perception that policy governance is not, doesn't allow the board to be involved. This is probably one of the most accountable structures because other districts, you don't necessarily report out on these metrics. But every year now, that's where the strategic plan comes in, and that's what I'm accountable for, as well as the organization, in meeting each of these ends. And so I just want to add that piece, and that's what's unique about policy governance, and I think that's where the accountability and the focus on results is very obvious in this particular form of governance.
And in that, this first year, we laid the baseline, right? We really have, it's truly established under Dr. Campbell what our baseline is. And so from here, we will look year over year to see where each and every student really is, right? At every grade level, to make sure that we truly are doing all we can for every student.
It's really, the strategic plan is operationalizing our ends. So that's the playbook, and these are the outcomes. And the strategic plan is the goal, is how it is that you're going to get there, and that's your roadmap, and we're in total support of that.
So I would entertain a motion at this time to accept the revised ends.
I move that the Board of Education approve the revised ends as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and we are adjourned. Thank you.